you seen how many are closed?
No?
Yeah, sombreros is
Because of
gone.
COVID?
COVID really
They
killed it.
closed down my favourite Thai place, the cheap lunch.
Oh yeah, no, they were awesome.
Okay, so we're rolling, so whenever you guys are ready, let's just go into it.
So Lily, tell us about what you were doing this week. What kind of things were you doing in the acting course?
So yesterday we were doing our animal work. We were working on that and developing our animals. I'm a meerkat. And
Hang on, can I just ask, how does that work? Like when you say you're an animal, what happens?
So we get assigned an animal based on what our acting teacher Lynn Pierce would like us to have a bit more of or develop a bit more. So for me, she wants me to be more in my body and with my face. So I got a meerkat because they're always moving. And
playful.
Playful,
yeah.
Yes. And so yesterday we were working on those, and it was the first time we actually came together and brought all our animals together, kind of like a zoo, and kind of replicating the time we did go to the zoo.
And when do you start bringing in your human transition character?
Yesterday we did some percentages of the human. So we did about 40% of the human, then we did 60% of the human, and we're all just now that we have our sequence done for our animal, we're moving more into the human work and what we're going to transition into that kind of replicates the animal in a human form.
Who is your human character?
My human character is a pickpocket.
Oh, yeah.
Who sneaks through
That's a
air
great
vents
choice.
into a hotel room and steals the guests' objects.
So can I ask, like when you're doing this animal work, how does it, when you're doing something for the stage or screen, how does it incorporate into that?
So when we're like performing characters and building characters, sometimes we're encouraged to, or a lot of the time we're encouraged to use an animal to represent that character as well.
It's oftentimes a really easy way, it's a tool for actors to change their physicality. So particularly if you're not a dancer, if you've got no particular training background. So when I trained, I was a netballer. It's not the same thing as being a dancer. It's a really lovely tool and entry point for an actor to embody the qualities of an animal, to find a different weight, rhythm, way of moving in the scene, and then incorporate that into a human character. So it's one tool, it's not the only way to work, but it's a tool for an actor to use their body in a different way. What was your animal when you trained?
My animal was a Tasmanian devil.
Yes, it was.
It was absolute chaos and such a different internalised rhythm from me personally. So I remember Kevin saying that my internal rhythm was andante, so like a walking pace. And the Tasmanian devil was absolutely presto, basically. And so I have a moment where I used animal work while I was doing a musical in Vietnam.
Tell us everything.
Yeah, so you know the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland? The choreographer was stuck and had to change an entry point for the cat dancers. So there was a little ensemble of cats and they were trying to be slinky and sexy as a cat would often be represented on stage. And I said to the choreographer, well, cats aren't very sexy, are they? Like if you look at a house cat, it's not spicy sexy over here. They've got their leg up, you know, they're all around just a little gross, you know. And so I said, well, what a cat does is they're predators and they hunt. And I said, if I was to stalk something as a house cat, I might do this. I might stalk, I might lengthen my neck. And all of that was based on animal work. And as soon as they did that, suddenly they were sexy cats, but not because they were thinking, I need to be sexy.
Yeah.
They were thinking, I'm stalking my prey. And so that was the new entrance into the musical, into that scene. So, yeah.
Can I ask then, if you're directing, do you incorporate in your mind any of that, or are you reliant on the actor to bring that to the role?
In all the times that I did directing, I like to work with the actors. I believe if you're going to say something on screen, you've got to be agreeing with it as well, and you've got to kind of understand the character, and it's a display of both of our visions coming together. So if that's the way that they need to go through it, 100% do what you need to do, but it's all about workshopping and having time to invest with them and have that conversation and have that time when you have both actors or you have everyone around. You're like, all right, cool, how would you find this? How would you find that? Do you agree with this or that? First time I've heard about animal work, never heard about that before, strangely enough, but it's really cool to think for a human character you'd go back behind that and utilise something that you would practiced like that. It's strange, but
It's not. Look, it's not surprising that you've not heard of it before, because it is a private process. You know, you do not ever want actors in the real world leaping onto a set and showing everyone their animal work. It's not about that. It's a rehearsal process that you go through to help prepare yourself to work on stage or screen. It's not something that you show. It's not work that you show to others.
Makes sense though.
Yeah, it's fun though.
Imagine.
So what else did you do this week?
We also worked on our setup for our latest TechCraft film shoot. So we're doing film noir next week. So we were basically just mapping out where we're putting our lighting and our camera and different ways to light all the different shots that we're going to be doing. So we're just working towards next week's shoot and making sure it goes seamlessly, and so that we can get that in and hopefully do another shoot the following day if we can pull that one off first.
So you guys are a troupe of actors, an ensemble of actors. As part of the course you learn TechCraft. So it goes the whole way through the 2 years of the course, and it's every week working on everything that's not acting. So it's the behind the scenes, it's working with gear and equipment. How's that process been going? You're 14 weeks in. Do you feel like you've just touched the surface of gear, working with gear?
Yeah, I feel like we have. Well, we started off with the camera. We learned how to set it up. We did that for a couple of weeks, and then we've slowly introduced, lighting and then sound. And now is the first time we've been incorporating all of it at the one time. So it's been challenging.
Yep.
But I think it's really good for us to see what goes on behind the camera. Also, it just adds more into our toolbox so that we can give more to whatever project we're working on. And I think, based on yesterday, everyone was very, because this is the first shoot we're doing.
Yep.
So everyone was really excited to be starting it, and everyone seemed very confident. So
we'd like to hear out of the course.
Yeah.
Can I ask something, Demi? You've been through the program in acting, and you've worked now both sides of the stage and camera, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So what have you done? You've been an actor on theatre and in front of the camera?
Well, yes. So in my acting portfolio, I most recently went to Vietnam and performed in a production of Alice in Wonderland. Okay. And then I also performed on the Sao Mai Gala, which is it's basically Vietnam's version of The Voice. Okay. And I performed as an Australian guest. But more often than not, I would say I'm behind camera these days, yeah.
And what do you do in those roles?
So I provide videography services, mainly to musical-based companies. Just this week, last week, I was shooting some small music video clips for Spotify clips for an independent artist who's also in musical theatre, but she's releasing a pop style album. I'm colour grading a feature film at the moment, and I have some videography work for the talent development project coming up as well, which I've got to edit. So
it's like my dream graduate. All these skills that she has.
Yeah.
Well, and part of the reason why the question I had is because you've trained as an actor and within the acting program, you learn TechCraft and how to make films.
Yes.
Obviously, it seems that's been a benefit, but how has it been a benefit for you?
Well, for me, and to discuss the business side of things, because I think a lot of people forget that show business it's just that, it's a business. But videography has been my main source of income as well as an independent. I'm completely freelance, so I don't have an agent either. So I rely completely on myself and my multiple streams of income. So at any given point, I could be editing, I could be colour grading, I do a lot of teaching and self-taping. When you're a videographer, your self-tapes look really good. So I've got my camera kit, I've got lights every year. I try to invest in some new equipment to build my kit. And also I think it's incredibly career leveraging too, because I have all the skills necessary to give myself acting work if I wish to. I think that's completely necessary in today's and Australia's industry, that is.
Look, it's the dream, really. If you're going to train as an actor, you really have to have multiple skills. And Kevin Jackson, who was a founding teacher here, did everyone meet KJ? Did you meet KJ, James?
I didn't, no.
So, really extraordinary Australian acting teacher, and his philosophy was, when you train as an actor, you have to have the skills to sustain yourself in this industry. So it's no working at Subway or working at Big W or working in a bar on the weekend. It's that you have the skills that everything that you do to make money is in the industry.
Yes,
And you are a perfect example of that.
well, my philosophy is that I don't have an acting agent. Auditions are scarce as they are already for people with agents. So without, it's even harder for me. I would rather be in the room doing something than not.
Yeah.
So, for example, in June, I've got a musical theatre workshop coming up at Bangara. I'd rather be in that room stage managing than
Working in a bar.
working in a restaurant.
Yeah, fantastic.
So,
James, when did you graduate?
Start of 2021.
And what's the journey been in that short period since you've...
I got offered a job working as a runner on a feature film. So everyone was so supportive. Everyone was like, you've got to do it. You can't not. Like, this is the opportunity that people spend, their first year after school just trying to get that first in. And then, ran on that gig for 8 weeks. Small Amazon film for Australia, like filmed in Surrey Hills. So it was around this area with some pretty cool actors and great people, but did that and then jumped on to big Disney feature for 8 months, which was incredible. And so I ran for both of those 2 jobs, but then before starting filming on Apes, the Disney film, got into the AD department. I was the offset PA, which was incredible, and the responsibilities just came my way, and it was like, okay, cool, I can take this. And it was all about having the attitude to be like, I can do it.
Well done.
And then had a break and done a couple of things.
Besides your charming personality, like, what is it that you think that they saw in you and why have you continued to work?
It's the little things. Anyone can get a job in the industry, but it's, do you show up on time? Do you put the effort in? Are you there to be committed or are you there for a paycheck? And that's kind of why I took the course. Everyone asks, why are you here? Like that first week of film school, everyone's asking, why are you here? What are you doing here? And for me, it was like, it's a year. Like, I want to see if this is what I want to do. And it taught me, this is it. I'm willing to put my life on this line, and it is your life. Like, when you're working full-time properly in the industry, all your focus goes there. Unfortunately, balance sometimes goes out the window. But if it's something you love, you do it.
And do you have a clear dream of where you want your career to go, or are you open to a whole range of areas?
Ideally, at the end of the day, I've got an idea to produce one day. But the more experience I can get around with other departments, the only better I'm going to be a producer. And working with as an AD as well. So doing acting courses, working in accounts, working in VFX, all that sort of stuff just informs you so when what you're asking of people, you understand the realism behind it. That's why the course was great, because we had to do every single head of department role for the feature films. I was the cinematographer of a project. I suck at that, but I learned, so much more by actually doing it and being there to do it than I would have elsewhere. And it just helps. And it's solidified. I don't want to do that ever. But that's fine.
What's been the thing you've loved the most since you've gotten out of film school?
Traveling for work.
Yeah.
We had a shoot out west, like a couple hours down southwest, and living there on the job for a weekend. We did a dawn shot, had a break throughout the middle of the day, and then did a dusk shot. And it was like we were dead. I was running on no sleep. I rocked up at 10 o'clock at night, and they were like, cool, the bus leaves at 4 a.m. And I was like, sweet, make it work. And because it was a smaller crew, we had probably 60 people. I was the only PA there. So usually on my team, we had 5 or 6 PAs, but it was just me. And we had phenomenal first there as well, who they'd call in to help out. And it was all the responsibilities were given to me. I did horrible in the morning. I stuffed up. I didn't have anything prepared or ready. I didn't know what I needed. But by the afternoon, it was great. We were firing on all cylinders, and it was perfect.
And what a great networking opportunity as a young grad. Yeah.
It was cool. Oh, wicked. And because it was second unit. So first unit, we had all worked our 50-hour week minimum. It was a lot more than that, but we'd all done that. So they hired a bunch of other people who were there getting plate shots and stuff without the actors and without the director throughout the week for only to bring the essentials in. And luckily I was considered essential enough. They didn't want to hire another PA. To go down and meeting those people, going to the pub after, drive back on Sunday for the wrap party. It was incredible. Like, that's the dream.
So tell me, like, what are the students now who've enrolled and started in January? Where are they up to and what do they do?
Yeah, well, so the students at the moment, they're on the documentary shoots. So they're all off and about shooting. They're on small crews for that. So there's just 3 of them in a group. So you have the director, who's the one whose idea it is, and they're interviewing someone and the subject. And then they also have a sound and a DOP with them as well. So all three of them are working together. I've been lucky enough, I've gone to see a couple of them and how they're all going. They're going really smoothly. So we've got 26 students this year and they've all done their own documentary and shooting that. Went to one last week, they were shooting at the SCG, interviewing a statistician about the cricket and seeing how that all goes and getting shots on the outside of the SCG. It was really interesting. There's one at the moment, they've gone down to Wollongong to shoot, they're doing wrestling, so a big wrestling group, so they're shooting in the ring and things like that. So it'll be really cool to see. But yeah, so this is their third project that they've done already since January. So the first one they did was a music video, so they just went out, learned how to use the camera, and some of them turned out really interesting. Their editing skills already, like how they've learned to put it all together and put effects to it. And then they've gone on and done their TVC, so found a product and made a commercial about it, which is really interesting. I saw one of the students, he made a television commercial about cerebral palsy and interviewing a couple people and their helpers, doing all that.
Because I think on that, they actually have to produce it for a charity.
Yeah.
That's actually the brief.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they go out and find a charity and try and create a product that they can give back to them.
Are those videos often utilised by the charity?
Yeah, they can if they're happy with it.
In what way? Are they used for like social media campaigns or like
the
website
kind of thing that we
content?
talked about was that they make a 1 minute TVC or a public service announcement. They make it for a charity, and if the charity likes it, they can put it on their social media, which means they technically could get their first credit on their second project.
Yeah.
That's incredible. To do a job with purpose, it changes your mind entirely. And that's why I love the docos, because you're doing something that you're like, I have a goal here, I have a message I want to get across. I've got a great person I'm just chatting with and having that conversation. So that's why I love the docos. I love the idea of the TVC. I wish we had that when I was here, because that sounds incredible, and like you have a goal.
What a great opportunity to work with with a real client whilst you're still studying though. That's amazing.
I mean, since you study with us and join us, we've changed things a little bit in the program, and effectively every student does in the film side does 5 projects that they are originators of. And they crew about 20 or 30 other films in that time, but they do the music video purely to learn how to use the camera. And we've actually got relationships with TDP. We offer it to any of the musicians to say, if you want a music video, you can be part of this. The second one they do is the TVC, which is effectively for charities, and we get the charities involved. But the documentary, and that's where we introduce sound. The documentary is interesting because they have to do it on an interesting character. That's the brief. The reason being is, and this is where actors come in, when they're writing their scripts, they have to understand that the scripts are actually about characters. And so by going out and doing a documentary on a character and understanding the 360 dimensionality to a character, we hope that they'll learn in their screenwriting that they write scripts that when they get actors involved in, they're not two-dimensional, wooden, somebody just walk in, that the actor actually has something that they can really bring to life and take further. And then they do a 5-minute narrative film, which is now the first time they're working with actors based from a script, and then their final film, which is effectively they bring it all together, and that's for the festival at the end. And so we'll produce close to 150 movies by the end of this year.
In the one cohort.
Yeah.
Yep. That's incredible.
And the great thing is, this man has the task of making sure it all
Wrangling that.
works.
Yeah.
But he's been amazing because it's been a new process for us this year. And how'd it go so far?
Yeah, it's gone really smoothly. It's a lot, 26 students trying to do all these shoots in 3 weeks. But we've made it all work. It's good, especially for these documentaries. There's just 3 of them going on a crew, and they're learning the sound and the camera and things like that. So they do that, have their product done, and then go on to the next one and help out.
Also
So,
having to be accountable to each other when there's only 3 in a crew. It's
exactly.
a big thing.
Yeah, you've got to make sure you know what you're doing, and make sure it sounds right, looks right, and work with the director. So all 3 of you are communicating really well. And we've made it so each student is working on 3 different projects, so that you have your own, but then you also have to help 2 other people. So in that 3 weeks, you've got 3 projects you've helped on and you've got credits for and things like that. So it works out really well.
And you were just saying before, James, your busy week when you're on set. I always say to students when you're here, the actors are here 4 days a week, the filmmakers here 4 days a week. Yeah, I mean, it is a big commitment and it's a lifestyle change coming to acting school or film school, but it's still nothing to what you do in the real world. So it's good prep, but I think for those students who are like, oh God, this is so much training, it's nothing
But that's like
compared to when you get out, right?
When we filmed our festivals, we thought we were, burning the midnight oil. We were working real hard, we're doing 10-hour days. Oh, guys, how am I going to get fit dinner and I got to go to the gym? No.
What's your record for hours on set?
Oh, I don't know if legally I'm allowed to say. There was one week I did 85 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And that was...
Don't want to advocate that.
But that was, that was a week where we worked 6 days and the unions have fought for the rights and made sure that we are taken care of, which is good. And it's fine, the productions are the people who will take care of you, whether that be your head of department, whether that be the production coordinator, the prod sec, whoever it is who's in charge of you at that time. So I was a runner and an ADPA. So second and coordinator, those are my friends. Treat them very well, treat everyone well. But make sure that they're looking out for you and you're looking out for them and you're sorted and they will take care of you.
Did you learn the actual terminology and how a set runs?
Bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So definitely the overall, your head of departments, they are very much one-to-one for what we have on set. But the little things that the first week you'll have in the industry is the big week of learning where you make all the mistakes. You scratch up the side of your car, you do this, you do that, you give someone a cold coffee and get yelled at and all the fun things. You ask a question at the wrong time. But having the knowledge of how stuff runs realistically and down to the baseline of what does affect and what doesn't is a massive step for understanding and learning. I think personally what should I take to heart, what shouldn't I care about? When someone's just having an outburst of emotion and it's like, all right, cool, copy, and moving on.
And that will happen in the industry, dealing with different types of personalities.
It's understandable. Everyone's got the high, we're not saving lives, but to studios, sometimes you are. So you can understand why the amount of pressure on someone can just come out in a moment. You're working with people. 95% of this is working with people, and I learned a lot of those skills here. And it was even, complaining to the school about a person, then being like, James, is this a real problem or is this just you having a bit of a moment? And at the time, it was a bit of a moment, but it taught me, how do I deal with this? Where can I go from here? And that's honestly one of the greatest things you can learn is how to work with people.
The thing that fascinates me about the actors is how deep they have to go in to their emotions. How do you manage that? How do you encourage it, inspire it, and manage it?
Well, safely, so this is a profession, this is a vocation, this is not therapy. So acting is about training as an actor is about finding really safe and sustainable ways and repeatable ways of creating character and delivering choices for a director on set or on stage. So a lot of acting training is finding ways to do that. So a lot of actors, when they start out, they have great instinct or they've been told by someone they're really talented and they should be an actor. But actually being an actor and having the skills to be on set for 12-hour days or longer and being able to repeat things over and over again, multiple takes, or being able to deliver, text 8 shows a week or on tour, it's a really specific skill set. It takes more than just raw talent. It takes a methodology and a mode of practice that you need to work at, essentially. So acting training with different subjects thrown in or weaved into the 2 years of the program is about giving you different tools, because not every actor is the same. Every actor responds to different types of training differently. Same with film school. There are some subjects that you love and there are some that you go, hate this. I'm never going to use this in my own life. That's the point, because everyone responds to stuff differently. So Lily, you might really love, animal work and improvisation. There are other people who go, oh God, I can't wait for this to be done. But, they might really love camera class or they might love voice class. It's about finding ways to unlock your particular potential and your particular skill set and doing it safely. So finding ways to be able to repeat those skills safely, because it's a job and it should be a blast. It should be challenging, it should be fun, but it should be safe.
It's understanding it, and that from the film side, understanding what you're asking of people is so important. I think my favourite class was directing. We had Shane as our teacher and it was incredible.
Shane Anthony?
Yeah, he cared. Having a teacher who cares about what you're doing, where you're going, chatting with you. My festival film was 2 people sitting in a car breaking up. So it's, that can get pretty heated in the moment. And I had 2 Sydney actor students do it. So I had Mauro and Liddy.
Were they students at the time?
They were students.
Yeah, so Liddy and Mauro, amazing actors. I would say both love the drama. They love dramatic work, those two. What was that experience like?
Brilliant. Working with them because they had done similar work together where they knew each other's boundaries, they knew each other's emotions, they knew where to go, how to go, what to do, what not to do. Yeah. I really had to step up. We had 3 days to film and we did it in 2.5 days because I didn't have to waste time working on stuff that you would have to do in the real world. It was so rewarding to have people who knew how to do that and knew what I was asking. And I gave them the scripts and I'm like, guys, take this back, annotate it, write on it, tell me what you think. And that's not a luxury you're always going to get as an actor or as a creative, as a director.
So did you, because we're all under the same roof here, actors and filmmakers, as you train, did you get to know them first and sort of see their work and go, I'm interested in these 2 people, or did you have them just blind audition?
Luckily, I'm a personable person most of the time.
No, what?
I like chatting to people. I had a gap year when I finished high school and I came here. I didn't know anyone. So it was a lot of networking, a lot of, let's go to the pub, let's go to the festival, let's see what's going on, let's hang out and getting to know people. I was here an hour early every day because I liked hanging around. I hung around a lot. I was part of the student council. So I spent time with people. I got to know what were you interested in, what were you doing. I acted in one of their things, I think, at one stage at the very start of the course, which was fun. Yeah.
We love a filmmaker who acts, just multi-skilled.
Oh, I just sat there as a dead body, but I did it good.
That's where Kevin Costner started.
Yeah, exactly.
So what about you, Louise? So you're here training, you're in week 14 of your first year, and they're first year filmmakers. Have you had a chance to chat to them a little bit between, because you don't have any classes together, the courses are quite different, they're structured quite differently, but in terms of your downtime and your free time, have you had a chance to get to know any of them?
Yeah, so we have mornings together, lunches together, and afternoons. So Simon was talking about the film students' music video assessments, and that was quite early on in the course. And they were asking us to be part of that just in that first assessment. That's how well we got to know each other. They were in the editing suite one day and we were all working on some scripts and they just walked out and they were like, right, who wants to be in our film? And we were like, okay, give us a script. But yeah, so we all get along really well and it's really good to have that networking opportunity because it's not every school that you get the chance to have the future filmmakers that you'll probably be working with for the rest of your career in the same building as you while you're learning your crafts together.
As the year gets closer towards festival film time, I think a lot of the actors are going to be hit up to audition in my film, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So just wait.
Yeah.
Beck, just thinking about all of the projects that the actors do, but a real stunning outcome of all of this is that primarily about 80% of your acting graduates secure agents.
Yeah, so I would say within the first 8 months.
Right.
So
what do you think that is? Partly the training when they leave. What is it that you think is the secret?
I don't think that there's one answer to that question. I think it really depends on the year. Agents are incredibly selective in who they choose and who they need on their books to fill a gap of an actor they currently don't have. So it's a combination of right place, right time, right talent, right look, right voice, depending on what they might be looking for. So sometimes we've had students here who've been picked up by representation because they've been in a show at school and an agent's come in and seen them, or on a recommendation from one of our teaching staff who are all working practitioners. So certainly from doing a grad show, we've had actors picked up. I've had actors picked up 6 months later, because they've done a little indie show or they've just kept working at it, Most actors don't pick up an agent at school, it's after.
When you actually leave here, you've done 2 years study at the Sydney Actors School. What is your portfolio that you walk out with for an actor?
All the things, Simon. Thank you for asking. No, so my plan for actors when they graduate is I want them to have as much stuff, as many things as possible to be able to show people of your work. So as a young actor, just through the course of the program, you'll have a number of clips, auditions, self-tests that you'll be able to use, and we like to encourage the actors to shoot them really of a high quality so that you can use them as clips. But certainly the professional portfolio we put together at the end of second year, and Demi's been through this experience, we give you a show reel, which is generally 2 professionally shot scenes, shot by the actors. So that's 2 contrasting scenes with 2 different actors in the group, which is about 3 minutes worth of really quality acting that shows what you're like on screen, that gives an agent or a casting director a chance to see your face and hear your voice and see your kind of existing ability. And it should be characters that you could play walking out of the door, so that you could play tomorrow, you know. They also have a professional voice reel. So they work with the amazing Stephen Hunter, who is obsessive about putting together really incredible voice reels for these actors, because, you know, my philosophy is you should also be going for a voice agent, because there's money working in voice as an actor. There is a whole industry out there, games, podcasts, you know, narration, TVC, or radio commercial. Like, there's so much work for voice actors. So that's another part of your training here and part of your graduation package. COVID changed everything, and I think I'm a genius, because I think it's the best choice I ever made. We used to do a live showcase for industry. COVID changed everything, and our amazing tech team in this building pulled it together in 2 days and shot our live graduation showcase. So it's essentially stage work, rehearsed for the stage, and then we shoot it. And we shot it that first year, and Tiahnn, who was our equipment store manager here, and her team did such a phenomenal job. I'm like, we're just never going back. Never going back from that. So now we have a filmed show reel, which is work for the camera, and we have stage work shot on camera. So that if you want to audition for main stage theatre in Australia, you've got live work on camera that's lit professionally, that looks amazing, that you have rehearsed. So that's part of your package. We also do a graduation play. So those are the kind of graduation things we do. The actors, when they're here, they also shoot short films that they write, produce, edit, you know. So there's just multiple opportunities for them to show people their work, different characters, contrasting characters. It's just really important to have stuff. So if you're going to approach an agent, first thing they're going to ask, have you got a show reel? Have you got a good headshot?
Yeah.
You know. So
How did that go for you, Demi?
It was obviously very helpful to have. I had a website at the time, so, I still do, but I'm relaunching it next month. I had my entire package ready to go. I think the most helpful thing, though, is actually learning how to update it yourself and how to shoot self-tapes.
yeah.
Because how do you do that normally? Like, if you can't, you guys have the skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you leave the program, you know how to edit, you know how to film. But if you didn't have those skills as an actor, you'd have to hire somebody in to do that for you,
Well,
correct?
I did when I graduated.
Yeah,
So
right.
I graduated a 3-year drum program and didn't know how to do anything but be an excellent face on camera or stage. You know, I was incredibly confident going to, you know, particularly live auditions, but in terms of actually putting together anything past what I graduated with, so, you know, within the first 6 months you want to update it and add some new stuff, I had to hire someone to help me do that, to shoot a new show reel, to get new headshots taken. I didn't have those existing skills.
But all the actors have those
so
skills.
here,
Yeah.
the actors have those skills.
Yes, I actually I'm the one they hire. So I've worked with a lot of.
From other schools hire you, or
Yes.
graduates hire you to do what you've been taught
Yes.
here in the program.
I delivered some professional headshots to a young actor a couple of weeks ago, actually. That was my first headshot session I did. So I'm 24. The people I work with are about, I don't know, maybe 30, 32, 35. And I was on set a couple of weeks ago, and this musical theatre graduate said to me, she was like, how do you know how to do all of this? And I said, well, like, it was in my course. And she confided in me that she never had any of that. They didn't even have any kind of business 2-week. I mean, like, a great thing about the course is that there's a 2-week business for the actor unit that we partake in. And 10 years ago, they didn't have any of that. So unfortunately, there are a lot of actors out there now, you know, still emerging, maybe mid-career, who feel underskilled. And I think that's why Sydney Actor School is so fantastic. I really mean that, by the way.
We're not paying you.
No, I really mean that, because they feel gypped at the way the industry has moved so quickly and so far ahead of where they're at.
The business elements are something that we try and work on very hard with all of our students. Well, we don't try, we incorporate into the actual training for everybody, filmmaker and actor. Has that been a benefit to both of you?
100%.
It's essential, I think. I think there's just simply no other way, especially as a freelance actor. I am my manager, so I have to represent myself. And I think some of the things you learn in Business of the Actor are, you do learn about agents and your relationship with agents and how that works. That's another thing as well. The standard cookie cutter agent to actor relationship you might not be happy with, and you might want to negotiate.
Often not happy with.
Often not happy with, unfortunately. So you get to learn how to work with agents, you get to learn how to, I guess, digitally market yourself on social media and everything. The tutor I had for Business for the Actor was Monica Davidson from Creative Plus Business. And when I graduated, we received 4 free business mentorship sessions with one of their consultants. That's now increased to 10. And more than that, the program is now free. So any actor can access those mentorship sessions, which I still do. I've been doing it every other month since graduating now. It's so completely essential. My mentor at the moment now is a film producer, and that's who I'm working with, but I also watch their free webinars. They've got some about how to set up your LinkedIn profile. This is all in the Business for the Actor 2-week course that I attended to, how to set up your LinkedIn profile, pitching as well, so pitching films. Even I'm doing one next week on PR marketing as well, because that's something I've not had any experience with myself, but I've worked on projects that surround that topic and everything. So I think it's absolutely essential, especially if you have aspirations to produce a feature film, which I think a lot of graduates do. I know in my ensemble there's at least like 3 or 4 of us who we've kind of film up here.
You want to get out there and show the world.
We want to get out there. It's completely essential.
Like my mentor, my last massive production, he told me luck is only preparation meets opportunity. So having this stuff to prep you and be able to show it, like so hearing the actor say that you've got a filmed stage showcase, that's incredible, because that you can show someone and go, I have this. So when someone does go, all right, we're thinking of hiring you for a job, and you know that they're talking to 50 other people at the time, and they are people who are filmed at other adjacent film schools, but you've got it all backing you. And you've got all this stuff that you can go, I've done this, I can show it to you now. I've got it here, my LinkedIn sorted, here's my CV, here are my contacts. Hoping that they know one of the contacts go, oh, you've worked with James. How is he? Like that's, having that all there ready to go pays so much. It's all about networking and knowing people.
And sometimes you only get that one shot, right?
Sometimes it's one shot, it's a call, it's a one day helping out, and then you might become permanent crew, and then you might jump onto the next project with them from the start. It's all just networking going along. But having film school to work off that is awesome, because it does prepare you for the really simple stuff you should know on set. That is not even second nature, it's third nature for people on set. They do that every day, day in, day out. So knowing the situation of what things are going to be like, so helpful, so key to doing a good job on set.
Yeah.
In terms of networking, I always say to the actors when they're training here that your reputation building starts from day one when you're training, because you're working with the tutors that we hire here. My rule is they've got to be working practitioners. So working currently in the industry. And it does mean, though, that you're already auditioning. So we have directors who've used students or hired students in the real world as professional actors when they've graduated because they worked here. They taught them here or directed them in a student showcase. It's really important. Everyone that you're working with works in the industry, and they will readily and easily talk about you if they're asked, oh, have you worked with James? Have you worked with Demi? Have you worked with Lily? And they will absolutely say their honest thoughts about their time working with you.
And everyone knows everyone.
Absolutely.
It's a small industry.
It's a very,
you want to be so prepared, you want to be easy to work with, you want to be fun to have around.
Who caused the least headaches? And that's what it comes down to. Who was the easiest person who showed up on time, who did the job, who made my life easy? And you learn that. Like by my last YR Festivals projects, you chose the crew who you can trust to be there and cared and showed up and did a good job. And you were hoping that you were the exact same person, getting everyone else wanting you to be on their crew and be their designer or DOP or AD or whatever.
That's interesting. Did you keep in contact with any of them?
100%.
Yeah. Will you work, do you think, with any of them?
Yeah. And I'll try and give them work as well. The people that I trust and I know, because every now and then I'll get a call, hey, can you run for me on this day? And I'm like, sorry, I booked out, but here's my mate, I trust her. She's brilliant, she will be there, she'll do a good job. And it is that thing of you're putting your name out there by putting somebody else's name. If I recommend someone and they don't do a good job, that reflects poorly on me.
Yeah.
That's my
Absolutely.
bad judgment.
They're right.
So having 25 other students to work with and, you know, help build yourself out. And that, yeah, there are people you won't get along with and you hope not to work with again. You probably will, but that's fine because you still find your core 10 or your group of others and you do meet them out on set, and that's freaky. It's weird to be like, you're in the real world too? What's happening? But it's cool.
Well done. In your studying here, did you guys utilize the resources? What was your feeling? And you have to manage it, so, you know.
No, I think we're like, it's really lucky for the students here to have all this gear, and they have access to it. There's so many different cameras that the film students use, and I know the acting school, they have a lot of gear as well. And it's not only do you use them in class and on your sets and shoots and stuff, you have the ability to take them outside of class and keep learning and keep practicing with them. Create your own little things on the side on a weekend or something like that. So it's that way, not only are you learning in class, but you also have the opportunity to learn outside of class as well and keep building up, ready to create your own content for when you go out there. Because this is the best opportunity to do it.
I'll also add to that, I didn't say it before, but like, you know, all the stuff we were talking about in terms of what the actors have at the end, the actors shoot that.
Yeah.
So in this course, what's unique, what our point of difference is from other training programs, the actors, all the stuff that they get at the end, they have created that, you know? So our equipment store manager, Tiahnn, who is incredible, and her team, they shoot the live showcase, but everything else, the actors shoot. That's extraordinary to me, that you've got actors who can shoot their own professional material to go into the industry, you know? I'm just going to put that out there because I didn't say it before, and it's so important.
Demi, did you want to comment on your experience? Or?
Yeah, so every holiday break we had, I was cooking something up. I think one time I took the Black Magics home and I set up a room in my house, like a play school set, and filmed a play school audition self-tape video with one of my ensemble members, Aysha, as well. And we did a little partnered thing, but we set it up, put it on a dolly and moved it like old-fashioned play school style. But I did a music video in here. Honestly, just as often as I could, because equipment is one of those things that it's very fickle. And I think sometimes when you're first starting out, it can feel like the equipment hates you and it doesn't want to work for you. So you have to, you have to practice. So I was DP for one of our short films, and I kept booking it out and setting up the shoulder rig because it's so heavy and I have little arms and I'm a petite woman and I don't have the upper body strength. So I had to book it out and figure out where the best place to, you know, put a massive heavy battery was so that my arms wouldn't fall off after one take.
But that's it's learning that stuff and having I know I annoyed the equipment department a lot renting out the stuff. And I'm like, oh, we have this in the back. Like, you guess, you know, yep, I'll have it. Yep, I'll take those batteries. I'll take them all. But you know, we were pre-filming our festival films up in the dance room thing upstairs.
It was tests for them.
Yeah, we were just testing for them, and we'd spend like an extra hour or two. The last couple of weeks, we were there every day for one of the films. And we were practicing out and we were acting ourselves as the film students just to get the shots right. Just to know how the cameras worked, just to make sure we knew what we were doing on the day when we were filming. And that was critical, absolutely critical.
Yeah, I always say to the students, take it out now, practice outside of class, just for a couple of hours, make the mistakes now. So when you get to your festival films, you know, continuity wise, or am I going to cross the line, or how's my spacing? Practice now, because you can just take the camera out, shoot a couple of your friends, make a silly little video if you want, things like that, because this is the best time. And this facility is fantastic. You've got this soundstage, you can edit, you can record sound and audio things. Everything's here to create it all. So it's really
handling
helpful.
it okay? You're early in the program, that's why I asked.
Yeah, we're 14 weeks in, so we're getting there.
Yeah.
Did you have any experience with filmmaking prior to becoming an acting student here?
No, I didn't even know how to set up a camera. So
Me neither.
I had no idea how to set up a camera. I had no idea about lighting, different lights. There are different lights. Or sound. I didn't know how sound worked on a set. So that's so important for us to know, even being an actor. So I feel like what we even learned just in the first 14 weeks have helped us so much.
I think, look, one of the foundations we wanted to do, especially it's in the acting program, but we've moved definitely in the film program, is when you finish, everyone, like I see other film schools, and you go there and they say, look at this, you get to use a $10 million mixer, and chances are you'll touch it for 2 or 3 days. That's it. And it looks good on the brochure. The problem I've always had is when you leave film school, the train stops. And you've got to go out and figure out how to build this career for yourself. If you want to go and make a feature film, the cameras that you've actually had and used here, you can actually rent those. You don't have to go to an Arri Arriflex. That's really the vision of what we're trying to do, is show you the skills, because when you get bigger budgets, then you can hire in the people who've spent 20 years on using that Arri Arriflex. You know, it hasn't been around that long, but you've got the ability to do that. But to get to that point, I just really used to frustrate me seeing filmmakers come out of film programs and talk to me, and I'll go, well, why don't you go make a film? And they say, oh, I just don't have the budget. And you go, but hang on, we've got Canon 5Ds now, we've got Blackmagics, they're 6Ks. You can actually go and make a film.
Yeah.
There's no excuse really that you can't do it. And that's been the foundation and the DNA of what we're teaching, is that we have great equipment, but the equipment is actually secondary to the production, to the idea, to working with the actors. But you have to have a skills base that you can go into the industry and people will hire you to work on feature films or the voice or any of those elements.
So, Lily, talk to us about what you had to do to get into the acting course. What was your audition process like?
So the audition process started when I applied online, and then I got an email and a phone call asking to come in for my audition, and I had to prepare 2 different monologues. When I came in, I did both of the monologues, but it was more like a workshop. So I would do the monologue, and then Beck would give me some feedback.
Intense feedback?
Intense feedback. A lot of feedback. Well, we'd do the first monologue and then the second one, and then we'd work on the first one and then the second one. And then I went away and got another email with a different monologue. So we were scrapping one and getting a new one to learn. So I learnt that, came back in, had one original monologue, a new one. We did another workshop together, and I got more intense feedback. And I feel like just doing those auditions, like, 'cause it was more like a workshop, you learnt so much just in that. It didn't really, I mean, it was an audition, but it didn't really feel so much like an audition. It wasn't as stressful and it wasn't as daunting, because it wasn't like I just sat in front of you or stood in front of you and, you know, performed my monologue. It was like I performed it, I got the feedback on the spot, how to fix it, how to be better. I didn't walk out of the room with any regrets of, oh, I should have done that, or I should have, you know, made a different choice, because you eventually helped me in making some decisions. And then when I left, I got a call and I got into the course, luckily. And then,
The rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah, our philosophy around auditioning is that it should be a workshop. You know, so auditioning really sucks. It never really gets any easier. It doesn't matter how successful you get. It's always really tricky, because you don't necessarily know the person you're acting for, and it's never as comfortable as it is when you're at home in your room and you're just giving you the best acting of your life. You know, so I think my advice to young actors is that you should treat every audition like a workshop, so that you get something out of it. You know, so this is a work day for you. You're not just going to be tested as an actor. You're going to show your interpretation of the work and hopefully get some feedback that you can implement and make yourself a better actor. That's the purpose of an audition. And the purpose for me is to see, can you be changed? Can you take direction? Can you play? Can you be inventive? That's what we're looking for. It's about what can you do in the space when you're given the opportunity. So every actor, and this is a really good thing for filmmakers to know, it should be a workshop. Even if it has to be really quick, the actor needs to get something out of it, you know, to progress to the next. Because it always sucks, auditioning.
So I would like to do 2 or 3 takes, and we would all do 2 or 3 takes with them, do one where you provide feedback, and then a third one for, like, what do you guys want to try?
Yep.
Is there something different you want to do?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Always helps.
For SFS, they fill out the application first, and then you'll do a quick questionnaire, and then we'll bring you in for an interview. And what we're really looking for in those interviews is just like do you want to learn? Are you driven? Are you passionate about films? Because that's who we want with us. Someone who really wants to be here, who's going to turn up and do the course and just really keen about films and wants to show their creative idea. So that's what we do in the interview. Then we'll let you guys know if you're successful or not.
A lot of people always ask too, do I need to have done drama
Yeah.
at school? Do I need to have made movies to come into the program? And we're talking about our 1 year and first year of the acting program as a diploma. Any of you guys have any experience in acting or filmmaking before you came here?
I participated in a musical theatre diploma
Right.
as well.
And do you think the acting part helped your musical theatre? Because you've continued to do musical theatre.
Oh, I think it's the number one most important. I mean, all of the best musical theatre performers are wonderful actors as well.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no experience acting. I didn't do drama in high school, and yeah, I really knew nothing about acting or the industry. So I was very nervous just to audition anywhere. Just acting in front of people would have made me nervous. So coming in and having that audition, it set a high standard for every other audition I was going to go into, because it was, I thought it was going to be such a stressful experience, and it really wasn't. It made me feel, I think I went home and I said, that made me feel like I could be an actor, because I got to work on taking a direction, and I got to work on something, and it wasn't just me in my room, working on something and giving myself my own feedback. It was, someone in the industry giving me the feedback, and then, seeing something in me and realising that I could take that direction and I could do that. So that in itself was empowering.
And it doesn't matter. I mean, oftentimes young actors have done short courses, or they've done high school drama, or they've done speech and drama, or oftentimes I meet actors who are just doing their HSC, their GP and their IPs, and it's such a stressful time. But it's not important. I've met actors who are enormously gifted, who just have that thing. You can't look away from them. And they've never acted in their lives. They're coming from it from another profession first, or from a different degree, or they've never studied anything. They've travelled, or they've worked a trade, or you really, to be an actor, you're coming to school to learn techniques and methodologies, not to already be a fully formed actor. What's the point of training? You're coming here to learn how to do it, and it doesn't matter what experience you have when you start. Everyone starts in the same place in terms of the training and the course. I know straight away, if I'm auditioning an actor, within the first 20 seconds I already know if I'm going to call them back, because there's something about them. They're really interesting, or they're desperately funny, or they've just got a great look, or they've got a voice that you want to hear them talk endlessly, and that there's something about that person you go, yeah, I need to see more from this person, and they would fit really beautifully in the ensemble that we're building. But experience, it's not important. For me, it's mostly, can you play? Do you have a sense of play? And can you be changed? An actor might do a really great first monologue. It's really interesting, and they've been obviously a star in their living room. But the second I ask them to change it up, or to do something different, if they can't, that's really tricky. It's really difficult to work with.
So James, were you making films before you could walk or something?
I worked at a second-hand DVD shop.
Oh, really?
Did that for a year, and then EB Games, and then I just thought, I found out about the school at a careers expo in year 11. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do.
You're from Sydney, are you?
From Sydney. So I went to school in Eastwood and had a gap year, and things happened that gap year. I'm like, I want to start studying next year. And so I just sent an email off saying like, hey, I'm interested in your film course. What do you think? And they invited me out for a day. I met up with, at the time, the director of the school and the marketing manager, and had a chat, and I got an email back saying, hey, we'd love to have you. Here's the process for signing up. And it was great. And going from having no experience in it at all, just being interested in movies and TV shows and drama, and getting that perspective, I honestly think there was no better way for me to do it. I didn't have any preconceptions of how this stuff is meant to go. Didn't have any idea of what I'd be studying or any prior experience. Oh, we don't do it like that back here. No, I was like, I just wanted to learn. And that's what you got to have, the attitude of I want to learn and pick up what I can. You might not be saying 100% of stuff I agree with, but if I can pull 50% of that, and you might have another 50% here, another 50% there, I'm going to be more versatile.
Yeah.
And that's an attitude that you want. A favourite class is going to be directing. For me, that was when you're getting to the fun stuff. You're working, you're on your hands and knees, you're having fun. We as film students became actors. which is like, that's putting everyone out of the comfort zone. No one went to the film making course to want to be an actor. They wanted to be behind it. They wanted to run away from the camera. But to get people out of their comfort zone and get creative and work, that was it. That's where I learned the most. And that's the stuff that I haven't used yet, because I've done a lot of production management stuff. That's the course where I learned the most practical things, production management by far. But hopefully to use directing later on and come back and know the importance of it all. And my least favorite class was editing. Put me in front of a computer and make me edit something where I can't listen to music and I've got to watch the same thing over and over in the 40 different takes with bad sound that doesn't work. It does me senseless, but it taught me when I'm filming it on the day. Yeah. Make it good for the editor, because that might be me if I'm unlucky enough.
Yeah, well, going off that, like, that's great, the fact that you learned directing and you learned production managing and editing, like those classes, you have all of those. So that way when you come to a film set, you can be an editor, like you have all those skills. You can use the camera, you can use the sound, production managing. So you come out into the industry with the skills of producing.
Can I ask you then, like you talked about a lot of different skills, what's an average day like then for a student coming through the program? Like how does the day get structured?
Yeah, well, so you usually have about 2 classes in a day. So depends on the day, but it's usually Monday to Thursday. You rock up at 9 and you might have a 3-hour class in the morning with production management. So with our teacher, Mark Barnard. And
Amazing teacher.
Yes. And
he's done apparently 200 episodes he's directed of Play School alone.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's that experience of him coming and showing us, teaching us, and then you'll have lunch. And lunch is great as well, because then you're creating your network there. And
an hour of networking every day.
Yeah, definitely. And before class and after school and things like that, when you're all together. And then the afternoon, it could be something like directing or a cinematography class with Les. We do quite a few editing, even focus in editing on sound, so working on sound in post-production, and also sound in production. So you have classes where you'll focus just on how to create that sound and work with that. So yeah, every day is a little bit different with different classes, but yeah, it's 9 to 5, Monday to Thursday.
And you might not use any of that for a couple of years, but if I understand what's going on set in the camera department or the sound department, it makes it a lot easier. I'm like, oh, they're doing Atmos, I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, it's that knowledge, isn't it?
It's knowledge, because you might have someone who's, someone's nephew being there for the first day and talking right through it, and you're just dying on the inside. You're like, oh, buddy. But having that understanding is so important. Yeah. And just like, it's not relative to me now, but it could be in the next 10 minutes. Just having the bare knowledge of what's happening, really, really critical to working on set and around it. And that's big, and especially small scale.
Yeah.
And that's what you learned while you were studying here?
100%. So understanding the importance of every single department is critical to this industry, and learning it.
Yeah, well, once you get that knowledge, you have this respect for the set, because you know your role and you stick to that role, whatever that may be for that day. And you learn that at the school, that you have to respect the set and you have to stick to your role. And even though you have an idea for the camera shot, your sound, you stick to that.
Yeah. You don't speak up and grab the camera and move
So
it.
you can't go on a set as a production assistant, walk up to the director and say, hey, I got a really good shot for you.
Yeah, well, you can, but not a great idea.
And how does this acting school work the same way?
Well, I would say it's the same in the sense that there's 2 to 3 classes a day, and we also run Monday through Thursday, so 9 to 5. But so that the actor's in first year, which is what Lily's doing at the moment. She's doing essentially 6 core foundation classes in first semester. So she's doing improvisation, she's doing acting technique and development, and acting for camera. She's doing voice and movement and tech craft is what she's doing throughout the week. And certainly for me, it's about structuring, trying to give the actors a mix every day that they're training. So never a day of just all sitting, which you hardly ever sitting in an acting course, but so if they've got a 3-hour camera class where they're mostly sitting and watching stuff that they filmed and getting feedback, then the afternoon is up on the floor, it's moving around. I always tandem voice and movement back to back because they're skills classes. They're generally in the mornings when actors might be the most awake.
Thank you.
And because Lily's in a class of 25, the group is split. So it's in 2 small groups, so Group A and Group B. And they're sometimes together, so they have a voice and movement class, and both the acting classes they have as an ensemble, but they also break into the smaller groups for really intensive work during the week. So what's your favourite class at the moment?
The class I'm most enjoying right now would probably be the actor and their craft class that we have with Garth Holcomb. I feel like from the very beginning, coming in and not knowing absolutely anything about acting, that is where I learned the foundation of my acting and just like the beginning of everything. You know, that's like where I learned the technique from the very first day. So having that class and then starting, you know, the first week, and then by the end of the term, our 10th week, being able to successfully do a live performance with a character that I created and with a group and my scene partners that we were all really proud of, that was really exciting to do. And yeah, that class, I feel like I've come a long way and it's taught me a lot. And you know, in acting and even my confidence, being able to get up and do that live performance was huge. And
It's a massive step forward.
It was a big step forward. So.
And we based our training in Stanislavski at SAS, so you know this class is primarily a class that covers actions, objectives, you know, who am I, what is my relationship, and the real basics of how to break down a scene, you know, script analysis, linear work. So it's the basics of how to do that, and then it literally has tendrils in every other class that you do, that class.
And we're taught it too at the film school, which is important.
Well, because it's a common actor language, you know. So if you want to know how to talk to an actor, if they've been through any kind of training, even a short course, they're going to know those terms, and they're going to often base their preparation in those terms, and then come to a director and say, "What do you need from me?" You know, that's what I prepared earlier. So that class is really, really, really crucial for your learning and training. Garth Holcomb, you know, for my money, is the best. Currently the best foundational acting teacher in Australia. I think he's extraordinary. So my rule for the acting course, every working teacher has to be a working practitioner. So what I mean by that, if COVID taught us anything, the industry is constantly changing, and it's really important for the actors to learn from people who are in the industry now, you know, who are working now. So Garth Holcomb, incredible actor, he's leaving us for the second half of the year to go and be a lead actor in Bell's new Shakespeare. He's doing 12th Night at the end of the year.
And that's an important point, because a lot of times when you get a tenured person in a course, they've been there for 25 years, but they've, like from our side, never made a movie since 1972. And it kind of becomes coasting. What's interesting about what we have here is that everyone's relevant and actually working in the industry and has amazing experience, who are also willing to give back.
You really have to be doing it now, you know. So all of our teachers are, and it's a thrill when a teacher goes back, I can't teach on Thursday, I've got a gig, you know. So Linny Pierce she's filming the next week, and she's filming all the next week, so she can't teach animals next week. So it's a thrill because she goes away, does a film, comes back and tells the students all about it. Felicity Jerd, prolific voiceover artist, always email me the second she finds out from her agent, says, Beck, I can't come in because I've got to go and do an audio book or a gig. She gets to come back and tell the students about that. So that's the exciting thing about having tutors that you've got to recover and replace, is because they're working in the industry as artists, as directors, as actors, as writers.
And we're lucky, like on the film side, we have Les Parrott, who teaches cinematography for us. The Beatles documentary that's on Disney Plus, he shot the original footage with the Beatles, and he worked on the Thunderbirds and all these shows, and he comes in, and what I think I really love what he brings to this is that he'll walk in some days with a piece of wood and some rags hanging down, and I said, what are you doing? And he'll say, I'm going to teach all the students how to create fire without having to do a fire. And by doing all these almost like old world techniques, but also understanding these brand new cameras inside out, it just bridges the gap. And most importantly, with all the lecturers, if you have a question about how do I handle that, they know how to answer it.
It's also, you know, like someone like Pip Edwards, who's, you know, our core acting on screen teacher, extraordinary. You know, all through COVID, she was constantly coming up with ideas about how to, you know, best instruct actors who are stuck at home, not working, how to do the best self-tape, how to do online courses, she's inventive in that way. And so many of our teachers across both schools are like that. It's always about it's always about giving the students the best experience and getting the most out of your classes. And they're a thrill to staff and they're a thrill to have in the school because they make your experience better. But they're also, because they're working practitioners, when you graduate, you already have your network. You're not starting from scratch. You're already starting with people that you've worked with, that you know, that you love, who love you, who can recommend you for gigs and for work. So, I mean, that's a really important part of
Can I ask a
training.
question to you guys who've all studied with us? Culturally, the experience of coming and learning skills at a place is one thing, but your experience of the year or the 2 years you spend with us are memories you take away. What was the culture like that you started when you studied with us? Was it a place that was warm? How was it?
Whatever you made of it. It's whatever attitude you had, and you could show up for just your classes and go away and get your diploma and walk out if that's what you wanted. I certainly didn't. And I met a bunch of great friends who also did in acting schools as well. Like, I found it awesome. It was the people who I went to go see movies with, the people who on a Thursday afternoon we did our last class and we got off a little bit early and we'd go to the pub. That's memories you will remember forever, and friends I do have and I still message and still catch up with. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, going off that, like, that's a big thing in the school is you making a network, which is fantastic, but it was also at the school, we do these little, like, movie nights and things like that. Even when you were here, we did a movie night every second Thursday, and we do, like, a trivia night. It's just a way to keep the community together, and so it's another way for the acting school and the film school to combine together as well. We have a school dinner that we do, which is all the students just getting together and, yeah, at night just catch up and talk and create that community.
What's your experience been like in terms of working with an ensemble? Ensemble of 25,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes split into two smaller groups. What's that like, being thrown into the bucket with 25 other people and having to work so intensively with them?
Yeah, well, I'm really lucky with my ensemble where, you know, it is really intensive work, but we're all really close and we all really support each other, and it's just a really supportive environment, and we're always helping each other and wanting to kind of encourage each other, build each other up in class. Some of the things that you do can make you quite vulnerable, and just like acting in general can be quite a vulnerable experience. So I think it's really important to have people that you trust and have people that lift you up and encourage you in your class so that you can feel supported when you are doing that work. And I feel like we've created a really good environment here, and you guys have obviously done that as well, where, you know, there's no judgment and we're all just working towards the same goal. And I think that's, you know, that's something that really unites us and brings us together.
There's something really special about being in an ensemble of actors, and I think you made a point before, Demi, that's really important. So much of what you do as an actor, it's not a solo sport, it's a team sport. You know, whether you're doing a play and you're cast with other people, if you're doing scene work with just one other person, you're beholden to that person. So it's not about you anymore, it's about the person who's waiting to rehearse with you, you know, or it's your ensemble of actors who are willing to do a play with you, or it's doing a short film and every single person is needed on set for it to work, because you've only got 30 hours to shoot it. You know, the ensemble is key to acting training, certainly. I would say the same about film training.
Well, I'm interested then, that ensemble training you had going out into the industry and working, how did being able to walk into a room and then effectively have to fit into, I'm going to say team, but it's not. It's either
I
the
say
ensemble.
team constantly.
Is it? Okay, well I'll say team. Leaving the ensemble and you go into the industry and you have to go and fit into a team. The skills you learnt on the ensemble, did they work in the industry?
Yes, when the room is willing to work with you. I think it's the only way. The skills, especially Beck, the way that you dealt with any kind of personal dramas, you're with them, you're living in each other's pockets for 2 years straight, and with the acting course, it gets really intimate very quickly with those people. So there will be small dramas here and there, definitely, but the way that, like, Sydney Actor School themselves deal with it is, it's so purely professional, and that kind of attitude, it's, to be honest, it's the only way that the industry can operate, and the best workplaces I've been in have operated that way.
It's a hard industry and everyone is accountable for what you're doing. So having a team that you can trust and work with, essential. very, very critical to it. So I cannot agree more.
And it sounds like you've ingratiated yourself into a number of teams now, having graduated. And part of that was the skills you learnt when you were studying here?
Yeah, it's when to say what you want to say, when you need to hold back, when you so want to say something, but it's like, it's not the right person, it's not the right time, I need to be quiet. I need to shut up and listen. Because I might not agree with everything, but there might be a little bit in there that I'm like, cool. And that's where I learnt copy. And you just like, copy.
Yeah.
Give them a smile, and it can be a little bit of a sarcastic smile, but that's fine, it's just copy. It's all about working together. And if everyone's got that attitude going in, you'll make some great stuff.
You never know the ensemble you're going to get. Sometimes an ensemble gels really beautifully and it's quite natural. Sometimes that's not really the case and they work together really professionally, but they aren't necessarily all best buddies. But either way, it's great practice for the industry where you're going to be on a set with people you've never met before, or if you're an actor, acting with people that you wouldn't like throw water on if they were on fire, that's going to be your experience, a real mix. So working in a group of actors, an ensemble of actors, really just helps you prepare for anything, to be able to work with any personality. It's really, really important. What was your experience like working in ensemble and taking it out into the industry?
Overall, a very positive experience. My ensemble was awesome. We were really great. I think I had a bit of a different experience being a student because there were a lot of like beautiful community building opportunities like the movie nights and everything, but I had 3 jobs at one point while I was studying, and it was really difficult, so I had to pretty much, I think I made maybe 2 or 3 movie nights. I was very strict with how I treated my body and so on, as much as I could, working so much, because when you rock up to a class and if you're sick, well, your instrument's gone.
Yep.
So you have to take care of it. Also, there's a lot of group activities too, so you need to be there and you need to be responsible, and you're held accountable to the group at all times as well. And lucky for me, my ensemble was just beautiful.
And hardworking, really hardworking group.
Yeah, really hardworking. And we all had our favourite roles on a set. There was some really beautiful, moments that I will cherish forever. Opening a play and, playing some theatre sports or games, or in particular 21, and reaching 21 with no errors on the first time, and then you open a play. It's amazing. And just moments where you start to know what they're thinking, and you start to, be able to read each other so well because of all of your body awareness training, all of the training as actors. There was a beautiful situation in Kevin Jackson's class where I guess for the entire duration of Kevin's classes, you sit in a circle and you share your experiences for 2 hours before you start acting. That's the class. And so the way that you get to know each other and all of the experiences, and you get to see how people change as well. Their own, I guess at the time you can see when they enter a class, they may have a prejudice against something, and then by the end of the course, they've completely flipped their viewpoint on that. And that's from all of that, secondary resource sharing in Kevin's class. So it's so special, and it's so rare to find that in your career.